Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. I am joined here by Shawn Mackrell today. He's big into the training space in the real estate industry. You guys might have heard of him already. And we're just going to have a conversation a little bit about Shawn, his history, and so forth. And then also with regards to the Loom system and the implementation of things like databases and so forth. So, Shawn, I don't know if you maybe want to do a quick intro and just give people a little bit of a history about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Well, firstly, thank you, Nick. Thank you, Landry. I really appreciate the time. And I really enjoy working with you and your company. So, yeah, it's a great product.
Thanks. Thanks.
So, yeah, just a little bit about myself. I started my real estate journey many years ago, in fact, in 1992. I did my training with a real estate company, quite a well-known brand in South Africa. I worked there for probably about a year. And I think I sold 6 homes in my first year. And I thought to myself, is this really for me? It's a tough industry, to get into, especially in the beginning. And so what I did was I took a little bit of I wouldn't call it a sabbatical, but I decided to go and travel overseas. I took the commission that I'd made and I went and I traveled overseas for a year. Always wanted to go and explore the world. And then on my return, my mother's always been really passionate about property and real estate. And she said to me, you're so good at it, why don't you just go back into it? And at that time, a very good friend of mine from school that also just returned from overseas, and the two of us formed a partnership. We started working for a local real estate company in the south of Johannesburg. So I would say I really started my career in 1995. I started with a company called Realty Executives, south of Johannesburg, predominantly in the Mondio area. And I remember from a very young age, I've always been extremely curious as to, what is success, or how can you be successful in the real estate space? So I used to spend a lot of time with mentoring. I used to, research as to who the best real estate agent was in the country, speak to them, engage with them, meet with them for a coffee. And even got to the point where I researched and I Googled who the top real estate agent was in the United States. At the time, I think it was a guy called Ralph Roberts, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember getting on a plane. It was quite expensive. Myself and my partner got on a plane and we went and spent 3 days with this guy. So I got to see there was a pattern of what these people could do. And if I could emulate that pattern and come back and make a difference in my community, I could really make a difference. And came back and started selling in the Mondio area. And in the 10 years that my partner and myself sold homes, we sold just over 1,400 homes. We had a strong market share, fluctuated between 84, 87% market share. And then, I think I was always, I'm the kind of person, I like attack myself. I always said, I want to be successful, but I don't want to be successful at the expense of other people. I always believe that, there's enough sunshine for everybody. And I think, I sort of reached like a pinnacle. And I remember this actually happening. I was sitting with my insurance broker and he had his diary open. And I looked at his diary and it was stapled closed, on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I was quite curious. I said, Kevin, you're only working 4 days. And at the time, he was the number 1 consultant at Momentum. And he said to me, now you went and spent some time with a strategic coach in Canada, a guy called Dan Sullivan. And he said he helped me break through the ceiling of complexity. So, obviously, I've never heard of that term, and I was quite intrigued. And what it really essentially means is that you reach a ceiling, that, you can't do more business, you can't do more sales, and you sort of at a ceiling. And I Googled this guy, and I found that he was coming to South Africa. And a few months later, he came and he did a course out in Rosebank, and I attended the program. And I remember transforming our business. At the time, we were probably writing about 15, 17 deals a month. But within a space of 18 months, we took our business to about 35, 37 deals a month. So what it essentially taught us to do was, to break through that ceiling, was to obviously have people around you. You need people. And obviously good systems. So I knew from the get-go, you needed software, you needed a CRM program, you needed products like Loom. And to help you really, grow and scale your business. And obviously you need, good, reliable people and to help you and grow your team. And in 2002, my goal was always to be the best real estate agent. And 2002, I won the Property Professional of the Year I think it was a huge milestone for me. And sorry, Nick, I just want to mention this. I mean, obviously, people recording this, I'm always quite conscious, talking about myself. I always like to say to people, I don't like to brag. I like to consider myself as being quite humble. But it's also important, I'm saying that because, for me, if you're wanting the coach or you're wanting the trainer, if that person's already achieved that success, then surely you would want to maybe sit down and spend some time with them. If you don't have to go and reinvent the wheel, so to speak.
Mm.
And 2002 was already a huge milestone for me. It was a turning point in my career, a turning point in my business. And in 2003, I started my own real estate company. I started with a team that I had as a real estate agent. There were 7 of us in the team. And within a space of 8 years, I'd grown that team to about 145 real estate agents and 11 offices. And 2008, obviously everyone knows, the market crashed. It was a downturn, and things were tough. And we moved to another real estate brand for roughly 8 years. And when I exited the actual business, I think we were on 175 real estate agents with 14 offices. So I understand what it takes to be a real estate agent. I understand what it takes to, grow in a real estate office or real estate team, a business. And then I think I got to a point where sort of life happened. I think it's a stressful environment. I was constantly on my phone, and I think there were a number of factors, but I remember this one instance that I went to go, I'm very blessed, got 3 beautiful, amazing children. I've got 2 boys, both play soccer, and I went to go watch a soccer match. And after the game, my son came up to me, his name's Jade, and he said, Dad, how was the game? He said, did you see that goal that I scored? I said, wow, Jay. I said, what a crack. It was a great goal. And he looked at me and he said, Dad, don't lie to me. He said, when I scored the goal and I turned to look to see if you were looking, you were on your phone. I think I suppose, like I said, there were a number of things, but that was one defining moment. I said, that's not the life that I wanted to live. I wanted to be present in their world. And I know that struggle for real estate agents. Yes, it's a job that you're able to, take the time off to spend with your family, but you're always on your phone. There's no off button. So I always said I wanted to create an environment to help real estate agents grow and scale their business year on year. So my goal when I do the coaching, I say to them, I want them to double their business year on year. But I also want them to only work for 9 months of the year. So, if you can achieve those figures within 9 months, and obviously during the course of the year, take that time off that you can spend with yourself, that you can spend with your family, just to switch off, from that busyness. And obviously then at that point, I decided to actually get out of real estate completely. My wife and myself, we're very fortunate and blessed to be run a lifestyle estate in the south of Johannesburg called Rick Zoo Farm. And at that point, that was starting to get busy. There was hiking and mountain bike trails and running trails, and I got involved in some charity work. And then probably about 2 years into it, my daughter had said to me, Dad, why don't you consider life coaching? You're so good at encouraging and helping people, and just maybe how can I say, people go through some challenges and stumbling blocks, and just to see the greatness in them. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. So I did some research, and I found that at that time there was from a coaching perspective, it was the fastest growing industry in the world. So I did a life coaching course just prior to COVID. And I had a real estate coach, well, not a real estate coach, a life coach or business coach for almost 10 years. So I understood, what it took. And I often say this to people, most people, don't need a coach, but I always say you would do better with one. So and the reason why you would do that is that a coach is there to keep you accountable and, or to give you maybe a different perspective on things. So fast forward about a year sort of into the program, I was working with a few clients. A friend of mine in the real estate industry reached out to me and he said, Shawn, could I come, would I be prepared to come and just, help him grow his business? And at the time, when I Googled real estate coaches, I found in America, you're looking at about 6 to 7 out of 10 real estate agents have a coach. Whereas in South Africa, when I Googled that, actually nothing actually came up. And yes, there are some trainers and, speakers in South Africa, great trainers, great speakers. But there was no one really been in the industry that was a coach. And I thought, there's an opportunity. And it's taken me some time, to first build up the credibility, to build up like a track record. And I started working with some smaller boutique real estate companies. And I remember this one lady that I started working with. Her name was Wendy. She just got back from the UK. Her husband had committed suicide, and she wasn't in a really good space. And she came back, and it took about 3 months just to work with her and help her just to, I don't know, get her mojo back, call it that, and to have some purpose in life again. And she started as real estate, but she's really passionate about animals, So I always believe that, you've got to really make a difference in clients' world. So I coach my clients, they've got to do things like drop off birthday cards for their pets. So some people think it's a bit weird. But she loved animals, and she started loading these dogs into her database. And fast forward, and a year later, she sold 23 homes in her first year. I mean, I see Wendy now; she's a different person. She's got her own car. She's able to travel overseas to see her daughter. She's moved into a new home. So that's the reward that you get, with working and with coaching people. And fast forward 5 years, this has been an amazing journey. I've been I just think how blessed I am. I think if any given time, I'm probably coaching maybe between 400 and 600 agents a week. I coach some really big brands, and it's just been an amazing journey. This year's really started exceptionally well. I used to travel quite a bit, sort of around the country. I sort of limit that. I think the furthest I actually traveled to now is in Potchefstroom. I coach an amazing group in Potchefstroom. But I've sort of learned to, embrace technology. I do some Zoom training. I much prefer, obviously, the face-to-face, what I call the human interaction. I feel that's a lot more effective. And I encourage people to do things differently, to think a little bit out the box, and really to embrace what I call, or to create what I call a customer-centric environment where you're really adding value to your client's world. And as time goes by, I'm amazed that, in this country, there's some agents that are absolutely really crushing it and doing well, but there's so many people that are just struggling, and especially if you're starting out, just what do I do from a day-to-day basis? So I almost help people, give them like a roadmap, or structure and a plan. And it's not just a one-off coaching program; it's a lengthy program. I like to say, man, a lot of my clients that I'm coaching, I've been working with, 3 years plus, and it's amazing to see, the growth that they're experiencing. And obviously, I'm constantly curious, and I love working with CRM programs. But then I met a lady called Leandre. She developed a software program called PropCon, and I know a lot of real estate companies have their own CRMs, but I've always said, ultimately the best CRM is the one you use. But I just found the PropCon system such an amazing system because it's the ease of use. It's user friendly. It's got some amazing features. It's got like WhatsApp. It really helps them, scale their business. And then obviously there are different programs that, real estate agents use for, valuations. And I mean, obviously I met you, I think it was like 2 years ago, Nick, I think when you launched, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I'd heard about it, and, fast forward like a year and a half. I mean, I think, like I said to you this week, I don't know how many people I've referred to. It's just, for me, you want to use a system that can really, really help you make a difference in your business. And I mean, the people absolutely rave about it. You're constantly evolving, you're constantly improving the system. I mean, it's the ease of use to get details like contact information for your clients, the phone numbers, email addresses, etc. So
yeah, I think that was my next question. Was you've done some research on databases, and how many agents actually use databases and how many don't. And I remember in South Africa, I don't think too many people are using their databases or building their databases. So if you can maybe just elaborate a little bit more on that. And just before you do, I'd also just like to mention to everyone that we have an integration with PropCon. So they are integrated with us, and you can actually consume our services from PropCon as well. But maybe just a little bit more on the database, Shawn.
Yeah. So, I think, when I started my journey in real estate, I knew that a CRM or database was paramount. I found all the successful real estate agents, especially in America, have a CRM. But at the time, there weren't many CRM programs in South Africa. So when I started, I had a friend of mine, and he was doing a computer science degree, that developed and wrote a software program for me. But as you know, I mean, software programs they're very involved. It takes a lot of financial resources, to throw at it, especially today. And, as time went by, there's obviously more, sort of people entered that real estate or the CRM space. And when I launched the coaching program and I did my research, there were only about 3 CRM programs, a lot of American CRM programs, but 3 South African ones. And there's some really good ones out there, I've always, like I said, the agents that I coach, I say that the best one is the one you use. But you obviously, for real estate agents, they want to use the one that's user friendly.
Yeah.
And when I started my research, I was actually amazed. I mean, I thought most people use a CRM. And I thought maybe there's about 25, 30% of real estate agents in the country use a CRM. And as the coaching's been going, I'm seeing it more and more and more, and that number's just dropping and dropping and dropping. And I'm like amazed. I would be surprised if more than 5% of real estate agents in the country use a CRM. And it's not to say people have got the CRM, but they're not effectively using it to its, to its true capability.
Yeah.
And it's important to have that CRM, because how do you create what I call an omnipresence in the marketplace? How do you grow and scale your business year on year? And I say, how does your business still exist when you're taking those 3 months off? Like, what happens to your business? Or if you take a month's leave or a week's leave, or if you fall ill, your business still has to continue. So it still creates what I call a presence in the marketplace. So, I encourage people to use a CRM to stand out, from the rest. It's a true way, what I call, to nurture a relationship, to build familiarity, and then ultimately to build a business that's referral based. Most real estate people, when they start in this industry, they don't have what I call they don't know how many sales they're going to do from month to month. So it's unpredictable. So my goal is to make it predictable, that based on X, Y, Z, that I'm going to do 2, 3, 4 transactions each month and be consistent. So I think there's a lot of people, what I call, on this, roller coaster. So
I think that's exactly it. It's about the consistency. So if you get the consistency, then you'll be there. But for that, you need the systems and the databases and so forth. So Loom can obviously help with that, and that's how we got in touch with getting hold of people. So we can get hold of individuals, email addresses, and also in terms of contact numbers. But I remember the last time we spoke, I mentioned to you that we also have now got contact details for trusts and for SIPCs as well. So trusts and companies, rather. So we do a SIPC call in terms of the company, and then we do a call also to get the trustee information for the trusts, and then you can select which director or trustee you then want to contact. So, but I think that's along those lines. Do you see the value that we're bringing there to the market in terms of that and expanding that? Maybe just a little bit more.
So quickly, I just wanted to quickly touch on mentioning that story. In fact, it was last week I was doing a coaching session, and I've mentioned, that you can now get the phone numbers from trusts. And that evening, I got a WhatsApp from one of the real estate agents, and she had a property that a buyer wanted to, look at purchasing. It was out in Apple Orchards, if I remember correctly, and property was registered in a company or trust, and she couldn't get the information, and I managed to get that information for her, and she phoned and she actually did the transaction. So the amazing thing is that just by that, and there's a lot of, especially, I think in your sort of outlying areas, your holiday homes, a lot of those properties are in trusts or in CC. So I think that's just an amazing product. And I think a lot of people struggle to get phone numbers, email addresses, and it's cost effective. I love you can literally right outside a home, take a photo of it, geotags the property. You can get the phone number and contact details literally from your phone instantly. So it's a great way just to get your database or your CRM program up to date. Another wonderful feature that I try and encourage the real estate agents to do so is to, it's vital to, once you've got your CRM, is just to keep it up to date. So if you're working, if you're working in a geographical farming area, or if you, working in a couple of areas, you can go in each month, look at all the transfers that have taken place, now put in all the new homeowners, into the system, obviously to keep your database up to date. So it's vital to have a system and to work with a company like Loom. You need that information.
Awesome. Thanks, Shawn. Yeah, so just in terms of the trust and the company contact details, so the trust, we all know that the trust data in South Africa is not of the best of quality, but we are definitely doing our best in terms of getting you guys the best details out there. And yeah, the company's up and running, so everything, I think, is slowly but surely coming together for us in terms of the contacts management. And that's what we want to do, is we want to build a differentiator. You can get your property reports, you can get your area reports and all that through us, but at the same time, and like you've mentioned, you've got the app, but at the same time as well, we can give you all the contact details and everything that you need. So it's really a one-stop shop that we're aiming for. So thank you for that, Shawn, and thank you for the conversation. I think just maybe to tell people how can they reach you, and if they want to get hold of you and make use of your coaching services, how exactly do they go about that?
Yeah, I think probably the best way is to go to my website. I mean, all my contact details are on my website. So it's www.shawnmackrell.com, and it's ShawnMackrell. So it's shawnmackrell.com. And, all the information, how the coaching program works. There's some testimonials that you can go through, some reviews, explains how it works. And it's got obviously my email and my phone number. So my details are there.
Thank you. Thanks, Shawn. Yeah, and I think just, this is also part of Loom is we want to partner with professionals like yourself in the industry that we can definitely make a difference to the real estate industry. So like you and PropCon and all that, we're definitely working together with you guys, and we enjoy and we value your services. Thank you very much for that.
Likewise. Thank you, Nick. I really appreciate your time.
Cool. All the best.
Great.
Thanks.
All the best, Nick.
Cheers.
Take care.